Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Yeah.
Welcome to Run It Back. My name is Michelle. Chandler, Lou. Chandler, if you could lower your seat a couple more feet. Just,
there we go.
Keep it going. Yep, it's better.
That's good, Steve.
We're having some problems logistically out here, but we like it. Yes,
you can't give Chandler an inch. I don't know why.
I know, that's weird to say, but...
You gotta be honest, he told me to put my seat down 5 times.
Because we gotta level out.
Yeah, we gotta make it look like we're all the same now. See, we're equal.
See that?
Although that's unbelievable.
Take my shoes off.
Okay.
You're 6'12".
Get into it.
Bring it down a notch.
We got David Fizdale, yay! Coming on the show in a little while. We also have some games we want to talk about from last night. Some good teams were in action, and we will start. Look at them. Just look at them. Pistons.
Oh, my.
Sure, the Thunder are injury depleted.
That's just good old bag work right there.
He's really good.
Cade Cunningham, 29-13, 8 turnovers. Okay, that's fine. Reminder, though, OKC, no SGA, no Jalen Williams, no Chet, no Hartenstein, no AJ, no Caruso, and Isaiah Joe didn't play in the second half. Hip thing, but those can be tricky games. So I'm proud of Detroit. They're also coming off of a weird loss to the Spurs. So let's talk about Cade's performance first. That's a nice little reminder of who he is.
It was a bounce back game to me, and the thing that made me proud, he set his tone on the defensive end. You know what I mean? Like, he had 3 steals, 3 blocks. But that's what you need, especially from your best player. If your best player is setting the tone on the defensive end, everything is going to flow for you on the offensive end. The funny thing is, I complained about how he started the San Antonio game. I was like, a free throw line floater as your first attempt in the game. I don't know about that if you're trying to catch a rhythm. This game, same exact shot to start the game.
That's weird.
Cashes it out. So I don't know if it's a thing for him to shoot the free throw line floater to start his games, but it works for him. But no, this was a statement. This was a statement game. You know, you have Wemby in town. You have the Spurs in town. One of the top teams in the West. You want to play your best. You want to send a statement. You know, they didn't have the greatest second half, and so then right after that game, you have OKC come in, another opportunity for you to make a statement against another top team in the West, and it goes your way. You know, obviously OKC had their fair share of injuries, but like you just mentioned, those games can trap you. Those can be trap games and put you in a position. So OKC going out having 4 guys go get 20, that's not their marquee guys, and they were damn near in their 3rd string yesterday, and they still were in a competitive position to win that game until Detroit decided it was enough. So great bounce-back game for Cade, nothing short of what we expect from him.
Yeah, this was a mature game. This is what you want to see from your best player. This is what you want to see from your MVP, and it's not to let things drag, and it's not to have multiple bad games, and he didn't allow that. And again, I don't care who is in for Oklahoma City Thunder. They're still a great defensive team. They still have guys and next man up mentality. And saw guys like Jalen Williams last night. By the way, congrats on career high, first ever 30-point game.
Okay.
That dude. But Cade Cunningham, he put that aside. He moved on. That's what you have to do in the NBA season. It's such a long season, and you have to have a short-term memory, and that's exactly what he did. Now, he did have 8 turnovers, so I'm going to nitpick a little bit on he needs to take care of the ball a lot better than he did last night. But again, that's what the Thunder do to you. They rush you. They force you to play faster than you're used to, and he's got to be more careful with the ball. But he did everything last night. He spoon-feeds Jalen Duren. Like, Jalen Duren's got to be the happiest guy on the planet, being able to play with this dude every single night, because not only is he a great two-way player and he can score in multiple different ways, he makes everyone around him better. I always forget to turn that off.
You're not good at this. It's fine.
It's our first day doing TV.
I know, it's just he's never done this before. Just why is it even on? Okay, so here's my question. Because, 5 of the top 6 scorers for OKC are not in this thing. And by the way, that's we can't talk about how deep they are as a team and then try to use it as an excuse. But that being said, if you're the Pistons, if you're JB, like, what are you sort of trying to learn from it being a little closer than maybe you should have been?
Well, I think you want to put them away early, right? You don't. This was a game. Like, they could have lost this game. If they get a couple of bounces the other way, they could have lost this game. But what's interesting to me is, I don't want to say it because the Thunder are so respected. I think they're like the kings of load management and not play. Like,
go on.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, these guys. They sit guys.
Conspiracy theory.
I'm saying they sit guys that I promise you, if it was the playoffs or Game 7, could play every single night. Now, again, it's smart. It's a long season. They're deep. They're working all their guys in. They have the luxury to do that because they're such a deep team. But these guys, every single night, I don't know who. I don't know who. Like, if I was a gambling man, I could never bet on them because I don't know who's playing that night, and it doesn't matter. Again, that's kudos to their depth.
That's fine. Yeah.
But
the point.
Holy moly. I don't know who's going to play for the Thunder that night.
Did you holy moly us?
I did.
Wow,
And it's very interesting because, again, how do you scout for this team? Because you have to cover every single person on the roster.
I mean, Jerry McCain had 20 last
Because you don't know who's going to play that night. And again, it's great for them because they have that flexibility to do that. But I feel like they're not hurt. Like, if it was the playoffs right now, I think all of them would play.
Okay.
I think they have some injuries and some knick-knack things. But what they should be cautious of is rhythm. Like, we're getting to the nitty-gritty of the season, and you have a lot of your marquee guys out, and you have a lot of your role players out. You got to start building that rhythm, not only just for yourself. If you look around the league, a lot of teams, they're tooling up to get ready for a playoff run. Everybody is starting to look better. Like, you look at Detroit. They might not have their best game the other day, but today they respond, right? And you look at Denver. They've had their struggles, but they responded. All of these different teams right around you in your circumference, they are getting ready for a deep playoff run. And so for us, it kind of looks like, OKC is a little bit behind the 8 ball. And a lot of that starts with SGA and the injury that he's dealing with. And I feel like once he's back in the lineup, everything else will kind of fall into place. But this is around the time, February going into March, you want to see your team as a whole and start putting together the right pieces and start putting together, the right lineups and seeing what you got, especially when you go out and get a Jared McCain. Isaiah Joe is coming into his own. Wiggins is coming into his own. You have so many guys giving you good production. You want to see where all of these things fit when you have everybody available in the lineup.
Yeah, this should be when they're playing their best basketball, right? And
they're ready.
Don't look now. The Spurs are 2 games behind them, and this is a team that we're talking about a historic run, possibly break the record, unbelievable start. Now they're kind of going through some adversity here, but again, I want them to put their foot on the gas. I want them to play every single game forward.
Let me ask you this, because they know what they have.
I think rhythm is a thing, like having that consistency, that consistent of rotations and lineups, and to understand your role when it comes to playoff times. Like, a lot of these guys, it's great to get the minutes now in the playoffs or the regular season. In the playoffs, they're not going to be getting that, of course, unless there's an injury or something or crazy foul trouble. But I'd like to see their main guys be their main guys and play.
Look, I can see both sides of the coin on this one, just because you can buy yourself a little rest. You can do all. They're a championship team, so they know what's going to be returning.
And they can afford to do it.
Exactly.
But we've played on teams, and one of the biggest things that coaches say is, you can't flip the switch on. You can't turn it on. Like, you got to have it on at all times. OKC can afford to flip the switch on, but the only problem I have with that is, y'all got to read the room. Everybody around you has flipped the switch on already. So you don't want to be late to the party when everybody around you is already ready to roll. And so, granted, I feel differently about it than Chandler. I think these guys do have legitimate little knick-knack injuries and this and that. Obviously, SGA's been serious. We're going on a month now, not seeing him back, not seeing him on the floor. But you still, going into March, you want to have your team whole and collective and ready to roll, especially in some of these marquee matchups. They don't need any of these teams to be a measuring stick for them, but it'll be good to see. Just let me see what's going on in the East, just in case this is a potential finals matchup.
It's like an F1 race, like you're managing your pit stops.
So if I'm OKC and seeing this after last night with everybody that we had out of the lineup, we feel pretty good about where we stand. But again, that can be fool's gold because you don't know. Different lineups create a different basketball game, so you truly don't know.
100%. On the OKC side, they're thinking, look, we're getting all these guys experience. We're getting them a bunch of reps that we can't emulate in practice. So it is great for their development and their experience and getting them these minutes. But if there's one team in the NBA that wants that #1 seed and is on their ass, it's the San Antonio Spurs. And so, like, they are sitting there, and they're not going to do this. They want that 1 seed. They are going to be hunting.
Do they, or is there a better road
seed.
To the finals if you're...
Well, I don't think you can look at it like that, especially how deep the Western Conference is, and you don't know what's going to happen in the play-in. Like, so, like, what, you're going to try and get second seed?
Well, I don't say you're not. I'm not saying you're trying, but like necessarily, it's not a bad thing to be second.
You can't play with the game like that. But I am just saying, like the Spurs, I feel like they are like taking it more seriously in a way.
No, they're in full.
Like, they are in go mode.
But we're talking about the Western Conference. You want the #1 overall for the finals. If you're going to have an opportunity to win a championship, you want to start it on your home floor. You want to have that advantage. And Detroit is in that conversation. So if guys are available, they should have played, and I think they would have played. So that's why I said I disagree with Chandler there, because Detroit's right there on you trying to get the #1 overall seed. And with that being said, I think they genuinely do have some issues. But, like, again, I'm going to reiterate it. I think they need to be whole at this time of the season, because a lot of these teams are gearing up and they're readying up, and you just don't want to be.
What is there? 22 more games left?
It's time to go.
It's go time.
By the way, I want to get to the Spurs thing in a second, and specifically to the Thunder. But real quick, if this was a finals, like if this is what we ended up with in the finals, who are you taking OKC for sure?
It's a high chance this is the finals.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like this legitimately.
I'm taking OKC. Again, we haven't even seen, we have a small sample size of their team full and complete. And again, they can afford that luxury of foul trouble or, you know, deeper rotation or deeper bench. And you can go to guys like Wiggins that are proven, Isaiah Joe. This guy, Jared McCain, who, again, I've said this all the time, this guy was a runaway MVP, Rookie of the Year last year until he got hurt. He is a stud. They just got him for like a first-round pick next year and a couple other second-round picks. It's crazy how deep they are. So, yes, I still think he's the favorite. Yes, I still think SGA is the MVP favorite. They're just, however, now he's getting close to the game minimum. And so I think the Thunder, they need to put it in gear here.
The Spurs thing, they did win their 10th straight last night up north in old Toronto. 2 games back, ladies and gents.
It's crazy. Look at that.
What kind of chance are we giving the Spurs to finish in that one spot come April?
I think high, Lou. I hate to say it.
I think high. I don't think they actually get it, but they've put themselves in a position.
And they do have the tiebreaker.
Yeah, and
for real.
That's a fact. They do have the tiebreaker.
You have the tiebreaker twice. That's how much they have the tiebreaker.
They also have the 5th toughest remaining schedule, and the Thunder have the 21st.
Yeah, that part's lame. We don't love that, but yeah.
Yeah, I put it high. I give them a great opportunity, but I don't think they actually do it though.
I think everyone's talking how great the Thunder are, and the Spurs kind of had their number this year. I think the Spurs, like I said earlier, I think they want it. Like I think they are going to be gunning for that #1 spot, while the Thunder are going to try and coast and be fully healthy come playoff time. I don't think either of them care really, because 1 or 2 seed, I think they're the best 2 teams in the conference.
Yep.
But I think the Spurs want it more than the Thunder. I really do.
Isn't that great?
No, I mean, for you, sure.
By the way, Friday night, kind of fun, because OKC hosts Denver, and the Pistons are going to host Cleveland. So Friday night hoops is going to be
games.
Good watches for both of them. Speaking of, Boston was in Denver last night. It was a heck of a road trip that they've been on. Big second half, though, and it was too much for Boston. 103-84 is your final. Jokic with 30, 12, and 6. Tim Hardaway Jr. off the bench had 14. Jaylen Brown finishes with 23 and 11. Jamal Murray left the game with illness, which is interesting. And, of course, no Aaron Gordon, no Peyton Watson. But Denver outscores Boston 56-36 in the second half. And the fact that Jamal Murray only played about 8 minutes in that, I don't know. Is that just you're running out of gas if you're Boston at this point?
Yeah, it's a long road trip. Again, scoring 84 points, you're not going to beat many teams, especially not the Nuggets. So, again, they got a heavy dose of Jokic. Tim Hardaway had a great game. Strawther in the starting lineup hit some shots. So this obviously is a tough team to guard. And when you play the big fella like they did last night, it's tough. But these are going to be games like this with the Celtics when they're kind of having an up and down season. They're not the deepest rotation. Yeah, there's going to have some bad losses like this, but this isn't even really a bad loss. Like this is the Nuggets. This is another top team in the Western Conference. Yeah. And again, this is going to happen. This doesn't do anything to their season. This doesn't do anything for where they're at right now. This is just a great second half by the Nuggets without their second best player.
Yeah, and give the Nuggets credit though. At least you go out and you handle business, right? You don't even play with your food. You go out and handle business, especially with a dangerous Boston Celtics team coming into town. This could have been potentially a trap game for them. You know, you got Boston who's coming out of All-Star break, then they come out of the break, go straight to their West Coast trip, like Chandler just mentioned. If you get to the end of that trip, I'm ready to go back home.
It's a long trip.
Yeah, so when you have a team like that that's already kind of on the whim of kind of giving in at the end of a trip, you want to take care of your business, and Denver did that.
Can I ask you this, guys? Because a lot of talk was like, oh, they end their long road trip in Denver, worst place to end a long road trip. Do you really physically feel a difference?
I did, for sure. You didn't?
No.
Really?
It wasn't a thing to me.
I did for sure. Like I used to, like even the coaching, I remember the teams I played for, they would even shorten your substitutions. Like if I played the first 7 minutes usually, you might play the first 4 or 5 minutes and get quicker stints just to try and get used to that altitude, or if you can, get there a day early. Obviously, it's tough depending on your schedule, but it was definitely a factor for me.
Teams I usually played on, we got there the day before and had a full-fledged practice there.
Acclimate.
You know, so you kind of acclimate yourself to what's going on. And also half of it is mental too. Like you know that physically it's there, it's going to be a part of it, and so you just want to fight through it. And so I didn't allow it to do that for me.
So Lou's mentally stronger than Chandler.
Yes, and I'd be interested. I'd be interested what their like first half like cover is. You know what I mean? Like,
I also came off the bench too. So
is it an advantage?
I couldn't afford to worry about anything else besides
can't breathe.
doing. Yeah, my minutes are limited from once I get off the bus. My minutes are already limited, so I couldn't afford to worry about that.
I always wondered because we make a big deal of it as talking heads, but I'm wondering if
no, it's there. It's legitimate.
In like layup drills, did you try and go a little harder to get that first?
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
interesting.
That's what I'm saying. It's a legitimate thing.
It's an adjustment.
Yeah,
sure.
it's definitely an adjustment. I'm just saying that I couldn't afford to let it be a part of my psyche going into a game.
Jokic was great. Jaylen Brown has been great. Both very much in the MVP talks, and we've already established that criteria for MVP is different depending on who you ask. So Lou, I'm wondering, let's just take it literally. Which two of these guys is more valuable to their team?
I gotta be honest. I would split it down the middle, but if you're asking me to pick right now, I would say Jaylen. I would say Jaylen Brown, simply because if you take Jokic off the floor, you still have an all-star caliber guy that can go out there and carry your team. And not saying Boston don't have that. I think they do a lot of their winning by committee. Obviously, you can put the ball in Derek White's hands or Pritchard's hand to go win you a game, but just the identity of a team and how they're going right now, it got to be Jaylen Brown for me and the way that he's been able to carry this basketball team.
Yeah, I think the shock factor, the surprise factor of how good this team is. I mean, look at this. They have the fourth best record in the NBA, the second in the East. They're a game and a half up on the Knicks and 2 games on the Cavs. Like, no one expected that. Like, and Jason Tatum going out, losing Drew Holiday and Porzingis. Like, I thought this team was a middle-of-the-pack team to a play-in team, to be honest with you, like before the season. And the fact that he has been carrying them all season long to this, he's such a great two-way player as well, which is very, very rare that guys give the same amount of effort on both sides. So, again, Jokic, I think, is the best player in the NBA, but I think they're still solid without him. I think the Celtics are lost without Jaylen Brown.
I mean, look, the reporting from Sham, shout out, is that he is participating in 5-on-5 scrimmages now,
which is awesome.
Officially. Kendrick Perkins, however, has gone.
He's not doing that for no reason.
I mean, why would he? Why would he?
Gearing up.
But Perk said that the Celtics don't need Tatum to get to the finals. And I'm wondering, look, again, we've already talked about this. This is the last game, long road trip. It's kind of hard to take it too seriously, but the scoring is needed.
We'd have to, any team needs Jason Tatum, but at this point, the Boston Celtics have shown you how resilient they are without him and the way that they've been able to play. We just had this conversation, right? Like, can they get to the finals without Jason Tatum? Sure they can, because they've shown you we're a strong enough team. Obviously they need him, but we're a strong enough team. And what's the reason for that? Jaylen Brown and everybody else, and they've created a new identity. I still think without him, they can get to the finals, but with him, he gives them a greater opportunity. So that's no knock on anybody, but he just helps them. So if they can get him back in uniform and give them, again, 15 to 20 minutes, that they become so much more dangerous. But I do agree with Perk. I think they still can get to the finals without him.
Yeah, Jason Tatum on the floor helps. It makes the game easier for Pritchard and for Jaylen Brown. Like, just having him out there alone, I think, will make this team harder to guard, harder to scout. And again, I think they have a legitimate chance to at least get to the conference finals, and whoever that's against, Cleveland, New York, or Detroit, they do have a chance because they play hard. And this guy we haven't talked about all year long, but J.B. Bickerstaff's the runaway coach of the year for me. I think what he's done in Detroit. But Joe Mazzulla, the fact that he has gotten this team to play this good and this well connected, and to have this type of season with all the turnover that they've had, he's got to be right there in the coach of the year discussion too.
Also,
and he's a quirky, weird dude.
Best videos on the internet are Joe Mazzulla.
He's a strange cat, but man, he can coach his booty off.
He thinks differently. I appreciate that about him. There was some news, it was pretty big news yesterday around the league concerning James Harden. Fractured thumb. So it's the tip of his right thumb, and it happened when they played the Knicks on Tuesday. He did miss the Cavs game against the Bucks last night. Shams, though, shout out again. Wow, reporting that he's not going to have surgery and will try to play through it. I have so many questions about. I guess I want to start with this. It's his non-shooting hand. So number one, for us, civilians, how big a deal is this?
I'd say it's a deal. Like, it hurts.
Okay.
It's probably there. You're thinking about it. It doesn't feel natural and normal. But if there was one player in the NBA where you could cut off his offhand and have him still have success,
I think it's crazy.
It's that guy right there. The whole scout, first of all, is to make him go right, and he still finds a way to get back left. Since 2011, people have been trying to do that, and he still can find a way to get back to that left. He rarely finishes with his right hand anyway. So again, with his handle, with his jump shot, with just his overall game, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna think about it, but. James Harden is so good at going left and getting to a strong hand that I don't think this will be that big of a deal, and I think he can finish it and clean it up in the offseason. I swear to God. And if it was me, I think it would really affect.
I have questions.
It's half my game. He's such a strong left-hand driver, and getting to a spot, I don't think it really is that big of a deal.
And way to read the room, because he knows he can't afford to not be in uniform right now with the Cleveland Cavaliers and everything that's transpired over the course of this season. They have high hopes. They went to go get you at the trade deadline because they knew that you were going to give them an opportunity to go out and compete for a championship. So to shut it down right now with a thumb injury, and to some people on the outside looking in, it might not sound severe to them, but that's something. You know what I mean?
It's
especially every single play, every single little thing involves your hands when it comes to any sport that you can imagine, and especially basketball, when you have the ball in your hands at all times. And so James Harden knows that. He knows that he needs to be in uniform. So this is the time that you show how resilient you are and the things that you can play through and try to give this team an opportunity to win. So he can't sit out right now.
So can I ask this, protocol-wise? If you're not getting surgery, why was this reported? Like, isn't this a good thing for opponents?
That's also another part of it.
Don't you have to?
Sometimes things, how they get reported, isn't the reality the severity of what's going on. You know, that happens as well.
I think you have to report.
If you're not getting surgery, you have to report it. But he's playing.
Also, if it's just a couple of weeks, does it kind of make sense to clean it up now and then just be back in a couple of weeks?
Well, there's also an injury report. If it goes on the injury report, people can report whatever
Is there a
they
difference, though, between right thumb and then saying it's a fractured right thumb? Like, what if it's soreness versus an actual
right
break?
thumb, but then if you got an MRI, it's like
I don't know. I feel like people are going to hack at the thumb.
I don't think you're allowed to withhold information. So if he got an MRI and saw that it was fractured, I think you have to.
Yeah. And also,
weird to me.
And Chandler and I know, it says fracture.
Yeah.
But when you go to the doctor's office, he said, it's probably a slight something.
You probably have a fracture.
So sometimes these things read worse than what they are. Now, I'm not trying to dumb down what he's going through, but just knowing how these things go, I've seen injuries for myself read way more severe than what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Interesting. I thought that was, I don't know, I had questions about it when I heard it.
But kudos to play through it, and
for sure.
We shall see. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side. Oh, I love this. Fizz. Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Sunny weather.
Look at the beard.
We'll be back.
Know why I'm here. Yeah, you know what I came to do. If it's you against me, no, I ain't gonna lose. You know why I'm here.
David Fizdale.
Yeah, you know why I'm here.
Okay.
How about that for data? How about that dramatic at the half court in the
Look
garden?
At the beard.
Where
view.
are you, Fizz? What is happening?
Relax. You don't have that stress on you.
I'm in my yard.
Damn.
You know, I'm a gardener now.
Oh, stop. Actually,
I'm chilling.
When I stopped working for those 2 years, Fizz, I did take up gardening, and I was quite good at it, so I get it. Okay, we're gonna start with you and Chandler, because number one, not only were you with him for 2 years, but it was in his favorite place, Memphis, on top of it all. So, what do you have for us when Chandler was there? Any good stuff?
We had fun. You know, I always felt, not to be a negative, but it was tough for Chandler. He wanted to be on. He really wanted. It wasn't the Memphis City. He wasn't getting to play at the level that he wanted to play. The competitor in him was dying because his leg wasn't kicking, and that was really frustrating for him, and even more frustrating for me because I needed that 6'9" shooter, handler, all of that stuff. And I know that was a tough time for him, but I'll tell you this about him, and I'm gonna give him some crap before this is over. But how he handled that with with all of the press and with his teammates and the way he stayed engaged and how he supported me as a coach was unbelievable. Like his support for me was I can't even put it into words what it meant, for coaches when you got a player that's doing that. Now, was he a piece of crap?
Damn, coach.
Yes.
That I had to kick his ass to play defense and, and had to stay on him about letting that 3-ball go because he kept wanting to be a playmaker. I was like, Chandler, shoot the ball. Don't pass up fucking threes. Let's go. But yeah, it was great those 2 years. You know, I was really lucky to have him. I remember the day we signed him, that whole process and that time. I mean, your agent has passed since then, which is crazy to me. You know, when you think about it. But I just remember all of that excitement in that time and how much fun we had, man. And you know, we went through a lot of ups and downs, but Chandler, you was awesome, man.
Coach, I never even told you, bro, but I really appreciate you. That whole free agency, that meeting, you believed in me, so I really appreciate that. And you're the main reason why I went there. You and JB Bickerstaff, pretty much the only reason why I went there. So I got nothing but love.
When we got you to go to Memphis,
yeah,
I was like,
you
that's
knew
some
anything's
serious
possible. But Coach,
KG was right. KG was right.
Yeah, I'd stay in Memphis here, which I never thought those words would come out of my mouth. But you had some viral post-game moments after the playoffs, the Spurs. The two best phrases: "Take that for data," and "They're not going to rook us." Now, how surprised were you about those? You know, the reaction that those comments in general got.
I never thought that I was going to be viral at anything. You know, but you was there, and that I was fighting for our guys. You know, we was down 2-0 to the freaking Spurs, and I mean, but really, like what I was fighting for was not really like out of the box. Like, how does Zebo not shoot free throws in the game? Like, that just don't even make sense still to me to this day. Not that I'm carrying any bitterness, but you know, I just remember like the last 2 minutes of the game. And just formulating all those numbers in my head. I'm like telling guys, get this, get this, get this. And by the time when I got in the locker room with you guys, I don't know if you remember this, but I said, I don't want anybody to say anything about the refs. I got it.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I went to the podium. I didn't think I had quotes and I was gonna go hood. And, you know, Lil Will, man, you've been together since you was a kid. I remember you walked in the gym in Atlanta for the first time. I'm like, who's this little skinny dude? So, but he knew we was talking crazy early on. But I mean, that moment, I just like, I said, I gotta do something it wasn't about the refs. It was about the team. And I needed to inspire them somehow and let them know that I'm fighting for them and I believe in them so much that I'm going to take this hit and you know, go out there on the ledge for them and really call out the refs. And, you know, hopefully they had my back. And, man,
100%.
They responded. Like, it was awesome when we got back to Memphis. Like, the crowd was crazy. People was, you know, wearing the T-shirts with the "Take That for Data" and "Not Gonna Rook Us." And
did you make money off that?
wild.
Did you trademark the phrase?
NIL?
You know, Tasha's a businesswoman, so that was trademarked.
I know
Tasha
she
was
is.
flying back when she got the news. By the time she landed, she had it trademarked. It was already
paperwork.
Brilliant.
Yeah, you got paid for this. You know.
But think about that as a player in that locker room.
Yeah.
That's all you want is like your coach just to ride for you and stand up there and take the bullets and say the shit that you don't want to say.
Of course.
Absolutely.
And he's the type of guy, I think he got a raw deal in both stops, but I think he's one of my favorite, probably my favorite head coach I've ever had, and Fizz is the man. And I feel like, I hope you get another chance, Coach, because
Thank you, brother.
you're that guy.
Well, hold on, Fizz. For the record, I'd like to go on the. I think the refs did an excellent job in those games. I want to make sure that that's out there as well.
I was waiting. I kept waiting for this. I knew she was going. I can cuss on here, right? Can I cuss?
Just not the F-bomb. How about that?
That's some bullshit, Michelle.
Thank you for asking, though.
I've been in that building. You know how much bullshit I've dealt with in that building.
What happened?
Your asshole custodian, managerial staff.
Get it out,
Really?
Fizz. Get it out.
All of a sudden, the air conditioner cuts
It
off in
happens
the middle of the
No, that's
finals.
real. That was real.
And it turns into 100 degrees. We playing in Africa, bro, in the middle of the summer, in the finals. Like, we didn't sign up for that.
I loved it so much.
Their team, and you know Tim Duncan and them IV before the game.
Yeah,
they got
comfy.
cooling rags ready for them. They was prepared. I'm like, how are they so ready for this?
It's called game
Over here
planning.
like, damn, our guys are dehydrated. Bron is cramping. Tim Duncan is like, I'm like,
Better than ever.
something's up.
Spry.
Something's up. You had a snake in somebody's locker room once.
It's Texas.
I mean, but not in the arena.
Oh, it can happen. No, it's definitely that's a thing.
A snake,
Come
like an
on, man.
actual
Like, too
living
much
snake.
stuff happens. It's like the new Boston Garden. Like back in the day, you remember how they used to talk about the Boston Garden and how they used to, it would be freezing in the locker room or hot in the locker room. San Antonio is that now. Like they do crafty stuff to get victories.
It's called
So,
strategery, and it's very important.
and by the way, somebody pointed something out to me, and I'm not calling out the refs like officially, But I did a podcast with a guy. He said 2 of those refs went to San Diego State.
Ooh.
I know a guy on that team that shot 19 free
Yep.
throws that went to San Diego
It's a pretty
State.
good
I'm
guy.
just saying.
Wow.
You go get the conspiracy
I'm just
theories
saying.
going, Coach. You
Right?
already
Crazy
know.
coincidence,
That's
man.
not that crazy of a conspiracy. I'm sorry.
It's actually what are the odds of 2 refs going to
Right.
San Diego? Yeah, that's actually
Yeah, it's a little sketchy.
pretty brilliant. Yeah, it's me.
Well, Coach, I wanna just rewind for a second because we were on Memphis, and I wanted to know your relationship with Zebo and him being one of your favorites. What was it about his character and his play that made him one of your favorite players to coach?
Man, first off, if you ever been around Zebo, just as a human
That's
being.
my guy. That's why I gotta know.
I don't know anybody that doesn't like Zebo. Like, that to me is like, and I'm talking about all walks of life, right? You could go into a room with billionaires and they love Zebo. I've been to the worst hoods in America with Zebo, and the whole neighborhood comes out for him. Like, you should have seen his, and it was a sad day, but I went to his mom's funeral. Man, the people that showed up and the number of people that came out for him, it was a testament to his character and his personality. Now, coaching the dude, I mean, Chandler, you was there. I've never seen a guy so even
Yeah.
all the time. Like, I told Zebo, so first off, you know, this was a culture shock to Zebo. When I get the job, you know, I'm coming from Miami. We doing the conditioning test.
Oh, no.
Zebo looked at me like, we doing a what? I said, Zebo, I said, man, we got to do something different. Y'all ain't made it to the finals. We got to, like, you know, we got to try something different than what y'all been doing. And he said, all right, coach, man, I'll be ready. What is it? I said, you got to run 5 10s.
Oh,
and
yeah.
each one of them got to be under a minute. He said, what?
Oh, yeah.
He said, coach, I can't run 5 10s in 2 minutes.
Fizz,
I
you
said,
run a tough bargain because for the bigs, that's supposed to be like 103, 104. Under a minute,
I had to scare him, though. Like, I had
That's
to
fair.
scare him, right? Zebo did it. He did it. He didn't bat an eye. Like, he got in shape. It was the best shape he ever been in. Oh, 2 weeks into the season, I bring him into the office. I say, Zebo, listen, if we going to get the most out of you, Mike, and Marc, I got to bring you off the bench. I said, this is not an easy discussion. I said, but I think I can keep you at the same usage rate, and I'll give you the ball every time down the court when you come off the bench. And I said, I want to play you against the 5s. I don't want to play you at the 4 no more unless I got to play you and Marc together, and I'll let you guys beat people up. The dude said, coach, whatever you want to do. This is a guy that started his whole career that has been a dominant force in the league his whole life, respected around the league. When I tell you he said okay to that, and after that, I never heard about it again, ever. I lived up to my part of it. He still was I think it was you at the time, Lou. I was like trying to beat you as 6th man of the year with Zebo. Because that was my pitch to him. I'm like, we gonna get 6th man of the year. I knew you was on the other side. I'm like, we're not catching
I
Lou
do not
Williams.
want to be the dude to tell Zebo he's coming off the bench.
I know, that's kind of crazy.
In Memphis, I don't think y'all understand who Zebo
In
is
Memphis.
in Memphis.
In
As the head
Memphis, when
coach.
he's a guy. He was the guy.
As
And
the
so,
head coach, Fizz, I don't know, did you know he used to practice with a flip phone in his sock?
Bro, listen. I don't, but am I surprised? No. Like, and would I have stopped him? No.
No chance.
Like,
He can take one during 3-man weave.
Listen, man, he got stuff he got to take care of. Long as he run
Got
up my
different
5 on no
responsibilities,
offense,
yeah.
Stuff.
make them little bunny hooks, get me 12 boards a game.
That is.
You know, in coaching, they got a thing. They say some things you see, some things you don't.
Yeah.
And you, Zebo, it was some stuff. I just said, Zebo, you go do that over there. And I'll
That's
tell you something
awesome.
funny about Zebo. That I ended with a good story with Zebo. When we was down 2-0 to the Spurs, and I had my rant, Zebo came to the back of the plane. And I was having a glass of wine with the coaching staff. Y'all know how the coaches all sit in the back. And Zebo came, he sat next to me, he said, man, how you doing? And I said, I'm hanging in there, OG. He said, man, we really appreciate you, stepping up for us. I said, man, I can't let us go down like this. I said, I got to do something. I said, Zebo, you starting. I said, you starting game 3. He looked at me, he was like, we won't let you down. Oh, my God. He did not let us down. That dude, when I put him back in that starting lineup, it was like, okay, y'all in trouble now. I'm about to play over 30, and ain't none of y'all getting the high, and he just beasted everybody. Like, it was ridiculous. And Mike Conley at that year, Chandler, you remember, because I played 5 out. I made Zebo post on the weak side block. I told him, unless you got somebody deep in the post, I don't want you trotting through the middle of the lane, eating up Mike's time. Like, give Mike his space. And that year, Mike Conley went to, I think Mike averaged like 23 or 24. Yep. And in that playoff series, he went crazy. The worst thing that happened to us, Tony Allen got hurt the game before the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we couldn't put him on Kawhi, and Kawhi was just that guy at the time. But Zebo, just all of that stuff, man, I can't even put it into words how, when you got a player of that magnitude who just rolls with you, as a coach, that's all you ask for. And the crazy part about Zebo, he hang with my boys in my neighborhood where I grew up. Think about that. Like, I grew up with some grimy dudes. Y'all know where I'm from over here in South Central. The dudes that I grew up with, the OG dudes, Keyshawn Johnson's family. And them dudes run the whole area over there by USC. That's who Zebo friends with. Zebo friends with my guys in Nickerson Gardens, the hardest freaking projects in L.A. He can walk through there. No one will say a word to him. I've been there with him.
Yeah.
I've walked in these places with him. It says so much about the guy and just who he is and how relatable he is. And that's how he was with his teammates. Chandler, he was that way with you. He's that way with all his 100%. Guys. And guys love him for that reason.
That's a fact.
And ain't scared and ready.
No, that's a fact.
So then, well, God, I'm going to bring the negative for a second here. But you were there, too. So that's kind of why I want to ask while Fizz is here. Like, the Marc Gasol thing. Like, what happened there?
I pushed him too hard. Too hard, too fast. Because one thing I learned as an older coach, you really got to spend the time to really earn the trust of guys. And Chandler was there. I went in on Marc.
He did.
He had 3 or 4.
Legendary film
games.
session.
Yeah, he had 3 or 4 games in a row. I think we were in first place at that time.
Yep.
We were like 18-8. We were rolling. Locking people down. Marc is bombing threes, but then he had a stretch where, quite honestly, it looked like he didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And that drove me crazy. And it was like game after game. And then we played against Cuz. I remember playing against Sac at home, and Marc put Zebo on Cousins. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Zebo can't guard. You cannot run from that. You got to deal with Cousins. You have to face him. And I wanted Cousins back on Marc in transition all the time, but Marc just went totally against me, fought me. And so we was at odds, and I was so pissed. And young Coach Fizz, I was not losing that battle in my mind, right? Not the wise coach, but the young coach. And I went in on him with I ripped him apart, just his, how he was carrying himself with his teammates, his entitlement. I told him, and I said this to him, I said, you can be the MVP of this league, but you have to get past the fact that you're good in Europe and stop holding on to that, right? Yeah. Didn't I say that, Chandler?
Yeah,
I said,
you did.
You have to earn the respect of these dudes in this locker room and take over America. I said, no one in here gives a shit about Euro basketball.
That's a fact. You should say
I said, no one. I said, to us, and I said this real, I said, to us, that's like winning the state championship or winning the college championship, the NC2As. That is not on the level of this.
Yeah.
Right? And I went in on him. And that dude, that night, he did something to Drummond I had never seen. Yeah. You remember that game, Chandler, in Detroit?
Cooked him.
It was his best game of his career. He had it was 38, 15, 10. But after that, he was so pissed at me. he hated my guts, man. It was legit. And I did everything to try to patch it up with him. But to his credit, after it blew up and, we went our separate ways and all of that, Marc reached out to me. And that's not easy. He reached out to me on his own, and we had a long conversation via text. We actually seen each other in person. We both kind of just said, man, we didn't handle, either one of us. We both said it. We didn't handle it right. We know each other's intentions was to win. You know what I mean? The competitor was not a question. We both know what we wanted out of it. We just couldn't form it at that time. And our egos both was in the way. It was all ego, my young ego, his entitled ego of being the guy in Memphis, we just did that. And, you know, to his credit, I think, and you don't know how this stuff goes, but I think the lessons learned through those struggles and that fire, he ended up going and taking that to Toronto and really being able to suppress ego and help that team win. Because he had to be a part of that group. He had to share time with Ibaka. You know, it was Kawhi was the man. You know what I mean? It was no question. So he really took it and evolved and, you know, really got to taste the glory of what it means to fully buy in and earn the respect of your locker room.
I remember after that, I went up to Fizz and I was like, by the way, that was awesome. And I love Marc, but I was like, bro, that was awesome. Like, and again, he wasn't even trying to be a dick. He was just really trying to get the best out of him and holding him accountable, and it was just fireworks.
Damn. Wish there was a camera on that.
No.
Fizz, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a very, very quick break. We're going to come back. More time with you in a second.
Run it up, run it back, run it up.
Welcome back.
Okay, Fizz, so now after Memphis, right, you go to New York and you take that job. First of all, what were the biggest differences, besides city-wise and everything, between New York?
The team,
Just slightly.
Besides New York and Memphis.
it was definitely
What was the biggest difference besides everything?
Just a little different. The biggest difference was where the status of the teams, where the teams was at. New York was it was depleted. Like, Kristaps was on the ACL, you know, coming back from an ACL that year. The rest of the roster, they had just gutted it to a place where I think our best player at that time was Tim Hardaway Jr. and Enes Kanter. And everybody else was just kind of like, you know, just players on the roster that they were seeing if they could emerge again or if they could get better again. You know, Emmanuel Mudiay, Trey Burke, guys like that. Lance Thomas was on that team.
Courtney Lee.
And we didn't even get to play Courtney Lee much. Frank Ntilikina. So, you know, that was our group. And I took that job because at the end of the day, so it was Phoenix. I had interviewed that year with Phoenix, Atlanta, Orlando, and New York. And I was about to interview with Milwaukee. And I got, you know, at the time I was hot. So, but New York was involved. And I was like, how do you pass on the Knicks if you got a chance to, like, get that going, right? And so, you know, none of where they were at bothered me. You know, the plan of that we came up with, I was all in on that, and I was like, this is the deal. This is the way to go about it. You know, it just didn't come to fruition of how we wanted to build the roster and, you know, the draft, all of that stuff. You know, losing all them damn games, donating my record, you know, to get Zion Williamson or Ja. And we ended up, look, the one thing I say, and it's turned out to be true, R.J. Barrett has been the most steady of all of them.
Yeah.
And we got him at 3. You know, but RJ wasn't the super talent that was going to bring all of the, you know, the hoopla with it. And that's, you know, really we was losing the games for that, you know, to get Zion or Ja. And that didn't work out. And then that summer, you know, our people seemed to have thought KD and Kyrie for sure was coming to us. Oof. That shit didn't work out. And then, you know, ultimately we ended up, you know, putting together a roster that, you know, all of those guys in their individual cases, I think, are solid players, but I didn't think the pieces fit very well. You know, when you talk about the point guard spot being Elfrid, Payton, Frank Ntilikina, and Dennis Smith Jr., my two guards were Alonzo Trier, older Wayne Ellington, and Damian Dotson. My threes was I started playing RJ at the 3, Marcus Mook Morris, and which was a 4, and Kevin Knox, who was a 4. And then I had who I liked, Bobby Portis and Julius. Taj Gibson was an older dude, and Mitchell Robinson. And so, you know, when you look at that roster in totality, solid players throughout, but when you put them on the floor together, the pieces for me just wasn't working. And, you know, the stubbornness in me, again, you learn as you get older and you're a coach, and if you really truly self-reflect on what you screwed up, if I could go back, I would have tweaked my style of play, but I was trying to keep up with the pace of the league. I was trying to keep up with all of the three-point shooting, and how do I manufacture enough points to keep up with that kind of shooting when I don't have shooters? If you guys hear a helicopter flying over,
love it.
They're not coming to get me.
Can't hear it.
So Fizz,
They're not going to drop into the yard over.
with all that being said, when we played a game yesterday trying to guess your opening day starting lineup, and
We didn't play it. He played.
We couldn't do it. Do you regret taking that job, or is that something that when the Knicks, the Lakers, or something they call you
regrets.
answer?
No regret.
Yeah.
And I say this because, do I wish that if I was doing it over again, I would have fought more to build a team early on and not cash in my record.
It's fair.
That's the hard part for coaches when you agree to the I'm just gonna say it, tanking.
Yeah.
If you're not all on board with what we're doing to get this thing, because when you tank, you're supposed to tank to build something bigger, right?
Right.
It's not supposed to be a tank to
Keep
whatever
sucking.
happens. That's not the formula, right? So when you look at and that's, not to sidetrack, but when I was in Utah as a front office guy, I was on Danny Ainge's head. Give Will Hardy an extension.
Yeah.
He's donating his record to you right now. Give him an extension, which they did, and it was great. But that's the hard part for coaches, is agreeing to that and trusting that I'm going to get to the other side of this tank. But for the totality of going to New York and how it all worked out, no. What I learned about myself as a man, as a human being, when I got fired, the space that opened up for my kids to come into my life and allow me to be more present and complete as a human being. The coach that I came out of, on the other side, I'm 100 times the coach I was after I went through that experience, because it's true. Like, you remember that quote I had on our wall in Memphis about your character being forged in fire? That's the truth. Those ain't just words. You got to go through some shit to be what you want to be. And so, I went through two really tough situations as a head coach. And, even as an assistant, me, I'm a ring chaser. So I went to LA and tried to get another ring with Bron and them with that fucking
we didn't like that.
ridiculously unbalanced roster. And I went, to Phoenix chasing a big three with that three that didn't
no one's
fit.
giving Fizz a hard time on that. By the way, Fizz, we're up against it. I'm so happy I can see your face. Please tell Natasha hello for me.
Hey,
I will.
Yeah.
I'll see you tomorrow night, baby. I'll bring
Exactly.
the
Hey,
vino.
wait.
On the association.
Okay, Will. Man, this is a good crew. I love you guys.
See you tomorrow, Fizz. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up.
I always wonder, if Fizz would he want to go back to coaching? This TV thing's so easy.
Think about it. Memphis.
I love to play for him.
Memphis, exactly right. Like Memphis, he got kind of screwed, and then New York, he took a job with a horrible roster
Had to do it.
and was gone. If I'm a team, I'm giving that dude another look.
I know, but does he want to do it?
He's honest. He's real. He's young. He's innovative. He's a great system ATO coach.
It's a good hang.
I've never played for him, and I've had the opportunity to have a decent relationship with him. So that says a lot about how he's able to communicate with his players.
He's cool. He's just Jamal Mosley, JB Bickerstaff are this cut from the same cloth, and that's why I think you see them having that success.
I'm glad we got him on. That was awesome. Guess what, guys? We're going to have an actual show on a Friday.
You guys are on tomorrow?
Shut up, Chandler. We'll see y'all then.
Run it back, yeah,